Steve Jobs' reality distortion field RDF. I am currently reading the Walter Isaacson's biography on Steve Jobs, and it mentions his reality distortion field many times, and how he was able to change people's perceptions and make them believe they could achieve the impossible. If it seemed impossible to complete a task in 6 months, Jobs would want it done in a couple weeks. He somehow shattered their perceptions on what was possible and got his team to do the impossible. I was wondering if there are any good books on this topic. Oftentimes, your perceptions can lead you to believe that you can't do something, so you won't even try. If you can challenge your beliefs and even convictions, you can suddenly do what you thought was impossible. One book that comes to mind is Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins, but I was wondering what other books you would all recommend on using the RDF to challenge your negative beliefs. Chris. Yes, Steve Jobs had such great reality distortion field that he didn't think twice about making children work nor overpricing an aluminium laptop with 5 years old hardware in it. He had such RDF that he could convince everyone that it's thin, so hey, nothing else matters. I understand that you want to magically acquire the power of reality distortion through reading one book and then going and using it on people, but you must understand that it is a power with huge responsibility, a burden that is absent of all morals. I'm not trying to manipulate other people, I want to use it on my own mind so that I can shatter some of my limiting beliefs. Chris. If you want to use something on your own mind to shatter limiting beliefs, there is cocaine. You go right ahead with that. Chris. I was just trying to show you how absurd it was to believe that learning something will shatter your own limiting beliefs. If you know you have limiting beliefs, then what is left to shatter? Cocaine's a hell of a drug, Rick James. Read the Elon Musk biography by Ashley Vance if you really want to know about productivity. This guy could do it all. His Tesla facility is state-of-the-art. How was he able to achieve so much? By simply reading about the subject. Anyways, his productivity levels were off the charts. I know I have limiting beliefs, it's just knowing how to shatter them. Thanks. I will check that out. Chris. I would read on this subject, if anyone, any publications I can get. I tried looking on Amazon, but couldn't get anything specific. Came onto the charisma myth, so I got it for myself. Now I have to read it. Damn it. One of the scariest meetings was when we needed to ask Elon for an extra 2 weeks and more money to build out another version of the Model S, Javidan said. We put together a plan, stating how long things would take and what they would cost. We told him that if he wanted the car in 30 days it would require hiring some new people, and we presented him with a stack of resumes. You don't tell Elon you can't do something. That will get you kicked out of the room. You need everything lined up. After we presented the plan, he said, "Okay, thanks." Everyone was like, "Holy shit. He didn't fire you." Just want to clear something up since you came on so strong. The op is trying to learn more about the subject to challenge his own beliefs, not manipulate others. He was citing Steve Jobs as an example. Op, cocaine isn't the answer either. As a broad suggestion I would, second Elon Musk, meditate regularly to stay present, practice miracle morning routines, read books from Ayn Rand, Eckhart Tolle, set goals well above your limits, reread them, visualize them, every day when you wake up and before you go to sleep, plenty of sleep, naps, extremely limited distractions or playtime. I don't live in some kind of reality distortion field myself, but I would credit my most productive periods where I went above and beyond in my own life to some combination of the above. Maintain a clear focus and vision, easier said than done. What if you choose to operate from the standpoint that your beliefs and unconscious expectations that rest in your unconscious mind are actually what is projected out into your conscious world? So from this mindset, it's not simply the positive beliefs that get you to take the actions to get the results you want, but it's the beliefs that are actually the very cause of the result. Translation: fix the belief in your unconscious, and the universe works itself out to make that belief and expectation there for you. So you want to change limiting beliefs, first you will have to know how to communicate with your unconscious, which is very simple actually. What we're going to do now is combine both parts of your brain, the logical and the creative hemispheres, because when those two work together, that is the gateway to your unconscious where your beliefs and entire reality is created. So for an exercise to experience this yourself, think of a food that you really enjoy eating. Use your imagination to bring up a mental picture of that food, thinking of how much you love it. In your image is the picture of the food. Now as you see that picture in your mind, imagine for a moment that your outside world doesn't exist. You can still see it, but focus in on this mental representation, and everything around it. Think of that like a hologram. For the purpose of this exercise, imagine that your unconscious mind is some energetic hologram, and not even part of your physical brain. This hologram and this image you see of that picture is your unconscious mind. Now that you know how to communicate with your unconscious, how can you use this information to create the inner world that you want, so it will ultimately echo out into the outer world? Take that image of the food you really like. It's probably big, bright, right in front of your face, and you are looking through your own eyes, correct? 99% chance yes. Make that picture smaller, drain the color, make it dark. Push it further in the distance as it gets smaller and further and smaller and further. Now, as you think of this food, you will notice that you crave it a little bit less than you did before. So this goes to show you that what goes on in your inner world is the cause of what happens to you to the outer world. Think of a self-fulfilling prophecy, or your unconscious being a movie projector, and what you see in life through your eyes is the projection. Now put the food back to the original spot if you want to crave it again. That hologram that you already know how to make changes to is your unconscious mind, and where your beliefs are. Notice how I say beliefs, and not limiting beliefs, because a belief is just something you choose to have. Believe you will get rejected, and you will. Believe you will close that cold call, and you'll be happily surprised how you can choose what beliefs to have. You simply chose in the past to have a certain belief. But now you know that you can choose your beliefs because your beliefs get your results. The mindset of the forum here is more of a running back in the NLF where you just power through your beliefs with hard work. That's the direct route. But I used to spend 2 years to choose to change, so that is why I learned about the unconscious where you can change your beliefs by simply rearranging the pictures in your holographic unconscious mind. I end this post with a warning: changing things in the unconscious realm using these techniques is very powerful, and can cause some unintended consequences. One example: your beliefs are there for a reason. Some strong beliefs are there to protect you from emotional trauma. Removing a belief before removing the deep emotional trauma will result in these unresolved emotions coming to the surface. Always ask yourself, is it okay with my conscious mind to make this change? Is it okay with my unconscious mind to make this change? Any hesitation or any feeling holding you back, stop, and work with a professional. Just like with the food visualization, when you think of that limiting belief, you have that picture that comes to mind. Those details of the picture are how you store your beliefs, not the content. You also have a picture for storing a belief that used to be true, but no longer is. When the details of the picture in the belief you want to change are turned into the same location, size, and other details of the belief that is no longer true. That is the moment your unconscious mind makes that and that belief is no longer true. But you have an empty void? A gap that needs to be filled with that belief you just changed. If you stop now, that gap can be filled by any belief dangerous. You also have a picture of a belief that is 100% absolutely true, such as the sun is going to rise tomorrow. You then think of a belief you want to have, the opposite empowering belief. Get the details of that picture, and change them over to the details of the picture that is 100% true. Now when you ask yourself, what do I believe now and why do I believe this? You just discovered how to change any limiting beliefs in the world. Note, it's not just pictures. For sounds, you have the qualities of where's the location of the sound. On a scale of 1 to 10, how loud is it? What direction is it going? For feelings, you have the location, size and shape of the feeling, and 1 to 10 on the intensity. I have a worksheet somewhere with all the details. Think of a junk food you want to not crave as much. Ask yourself if it's okay with your conscious and unconscious mind to make this change. 1. Get all the details of the food you want to give up, picture, sounds, feelings. 2. Stand up and walk around and think of something else important. Try to smell popcorn if you can seriously. 3. Now, get all the details of the food that disgusts you, something you would never want to eat, something that brings up your gag reflex just thinking about it. 4. Now, get that first picture of the food you want to give up, and change all the details to be the same as the disgusting food. 5. When it's the same, lock it in place, and solidify that locking with the sound of a car door slamming shut and locking. How do you feel differently now about that food you used to like? And think of a time in the future where you might eat that junk food. What can you see yourself eating instead? Food works better at this stage of your learning because there is not as much emotional attachment. For example, when I was 14 years old, someone broke into my house and threatened to kill me. He wound up in the hospital, but after that, I had the belief that I should always be able to protect myself. After I went through a police academy and saw some things there. I have the belief that I should carry a concealed handgun for protection. Let's say I remove that belief. The emotional trauma of what happened when I was 14 and the police experience could all rise to the surface at once. There are other techniques for taking care of those emotions first, to make it safe to remove beliefs. So once again, read my warning above. Now, after limiting beliefs and the unconscious mind, you are ready to make that change in the energetic realm. Okay, one follow-up to that last post. For the food change, when I did it the first time, I lost the craving for Wendy's Jr. Bacon cheeseburgers immediately. But sometimes our minds group together information. So to really build up the change, I did the same for Big Macs and Burger King. The very moment I did that, I haven't ate at any of those or Taco Bell, going on 2 years now. And for the belief change, literally the instant you make the shift, you will begin to notice things in your life support your belief. You'll have a new viewpoint on something. People may appear at just the right times, etc. Carrot. Wow. Thanks for the post. Is that the neuro-linguistic programming? I've read about that briefly in the past, and I think it's time to jump on it. I especially like the analogy of your unconscious being like a movie projector. Time to start putting this to use daily. Chris. Exactly right, I'm trying to better myself. And don't worry, I'm not about to get into cocaine. Thank you for the suggestions. I just got done exercising and meditating. Thanks to your post. Chris. Reality distortion is just a fancy way of saying bullying. So just learn how to bully people, and then push them towards the optimal. If you get 100 nerds in a room, and bully them to work 18-hour days, then it's a lot easier to build a successful company. And I don't mean that as a joke. Read the book again. It never mentions that the people were nerds, but honestly, who else was writing code in the 70s? Nerds. or put otherwise, people that were easy to bully. So how do you distort their reality? You treat them like shit until them make apple. Then you give them their cut, and take credit for the rest. Learn NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, is offering a course on it. It's no analogy, so yes, it's NLP. Here another exercise in your hologram. Think of the obstacle that is in front of you right now. Being up the picture. It's probably big. Shrink it down really small. And put a mental picture of your favorite thing to do immediately on the other side. Get that picture of you wanting to read more books and learn more, and put that in then beside of a few more obstacles. The things I typed you in the last post answer your original question. I used to push off doing by learning. Take some action and then reward yourself with the reading. Jesus Christ, people are cynical. Whether Jobs was a bully or not is irrelevant to Ops' question. How do I change my heuristics so that I can get more done or get people to do things better? This is actually something I find quite interesting, one's ability to persuade others. Whether it's through marketing, or face-to-face discussion, the ability to compel people to do what you want is essential. If you want to read things to help you understand this better, I recommend reading and, in my opinion, these two books will give you a fundamental understanding of how to frame what you say in a compelling manner that gets people to do what it is you want them to do. I'd also recommend reading up on L. Ron Hubbard, yes, the Scientology guy, to really get your head around how easy it is to persuade people to do some really batshit things. Note, I'm not saying go out and start a cult or go manipulate people. I'm saying read these books and realize how much power can have if they understand what motivates people in general. Keep us updated on your progress. Yes, that is why people are pushing the synthetic virtual reality field instead on the other thread. LOL. What is with all the sudden Elon Musk worshipping? I love Elon Musk, but I believe many of us here have the ability to either surpass him or dominate a field he has never even explored or even create one of our own. I get all the admiration, really. He is a remarkable man of our era and a visionary, but I don't really get why someone's got to worship him every other post. Why not absorb from him what is useful and move on with your life? Not exactly, but it has a bit of it. I had this field. What it allowed me to do was influence people, and manipulate them to do what I would like them to do, to get them to start thinking they should. I'd say this is confidence as well. They take in your confidence and think, wow, this guy knows what he's doing. It's a responsibility though, and even if you believe your own BS, as you get older you realize 1. That BS shouldn't hurt anyone, and 2. If you are just psing, make sure you can back it up when needed, or you lose confidence in yourself and from others. I agree, it happens all the time with people throwing insults around for no reason. Not sure where it comes from, but not our problem. Thank you for the recommendations. I actually have the book Influence, and I never read it. So once I finish reading my current books, looks like that's the next one in line. Chris. Pretend for a moment you were Steve Jobs. And now picture Bill Gates, eating an apple. Do or die. Wouldn't let my employees slack around either in such a situation. Reminds me a little bit of the Manhattan Project's scientists and engineers being worried about the Third Reich's nuclear program. Lol, what? Anyway, on the topic of reality distortion and powerful persuasion, here's on Donald Trump's strategy. Lol, I notice all your responses in this thread are negative and combative in nature. I want to give you some advice because I used to be like you when I was a younger, and if you search my post history from years ago, you will see I was always arguing with others and acted like I was too good to admire another person. Drop that attitude, it won't get you anywhere. Nobody is worshipping Elon Musk per se, they are just very impressed with his level of productivity and success. Actually, if people worshipped people like Elon Musk instead of entertainment celebrities, the world would be a better place and we would be much further in civilization. This guy is probably the most productive man on earth. No man is worthy of worship, but many are worthy of being role models that budding and successful entrepreneurs alike look up to. Don't look for things to criticize. Look for things you agree with first before you criticize, and make sure the criticism is constructive if possible. You can learn a lot from both Steve Jobs and Elon Musk. Everyone can. Being in business is not about being nice to people, but being as productive as possible. If Steve didn't push those employees, we wouldn't have iPhones and Macs, etc. Almost every major achievement in the history of civilization involved some blood and sweat. This can range from people being overworked to people losing their lives to achieve the goals. Okay. Good. Elon Musk is an entertainment celebrity, otherwise you wouldn't get a hard-on every time his name comes up. I agree, and that's what I said in my post. Where is your argument? Newpels said, I get all the admiration really. He is a remarkable man of our era and a visionary, but I don't really get why someone's got to worship him every other post. Why not absorb from him what is useful and move on with your life? Can you answer my question though? Why not absorb from him what is useful and move on with your life? What did you say? You don't criticize things you don't agree with? What is with the college is bullshit then? What's with 9 to 5 is bullshit then? What's with the television is a horrible brainwashing stupid box? You criticizing those things means you agree with them. Get out of here lol. I don't normally get involved in arguments, but most people have some people they look up to. Many entrepreneurs had a harsh start and no one to look up to and turned to people like Steve Jobs. For me it was Duncan Bannatyne, a fellow Scot from Dragon's Den who, despite getting himself in trouble as a kid, made something himself. Who knows what I would be doing now if I had turned to someone like Kanye West. Looking up to these people is a good thing. They inspire a lot of people regardless of what you think they do. Personally, I can't stand Richard Branson, not that he cares, but I can see why people want to emulate him. Hell, no one would even be on this forum if they didn't look up to or were inspired by Adam Jade Marco. You'll find if someone does something that has helped them, they will tell others, so hearing these names dropped on a business forum shouldn't be a shock to you. Of course, man. Honestly, I just don't want you to emulate Elon Musk or MJ. I want you to become the best Mracha, because you could become greater than both of them. I'm sure they would tell you that themselves. If it weren't the case, why would MJ even continue spending ridiculous amounts of time nurturing it? The forum. 1. He wants you to become greater than he is. He f***ing cares about people, and that's pretty much the only thing that keeps him going. 2. He wants to expose the massive lie that was fed to us from before the turn of the millennium. He doesn't want you to worship him, talk about him, get inspired, etc. He wants you to get your shit together as fast you can, fast lane, so we can all benefit from you instead of having to give you anything. I'm a little surprised at the hate for Steve Jobs. This forum is all about adding value. He pretty much standardized music and the way we listen to it with one of the first MP3 players. Podcasts are informational that has influenced how many of millions of people? He was one of the first to make a tablet computer. I read the FL book on an iPad that changed my direction forever. He did it by utilizing nerds working 18 hours a day, that are slow lane. If they were fast lane, they would have realized what they had and started their own companies. Either way, how is employees working long days any different at all than any of the other 500 incorporated companies? Most people are inspired by others. No one is saying don't be better. But isn't a bad thing to look up to people. A little girl watches her first ballet. She is so captivated by the grace and beauty of one of the dancers she vows to be just like her. 15 years of relentless training later, she wins awards for her performance. Without watching that dancer, she would never have put on her ballet shoes. I was happy how NLP shattered a few limiting beliefs I had. It was instant and fun. I recommend going to see an NLP practitioner in person. Books just don't cut it in this department.